Hey everybody, my name is Mike Montgomery, and today we're building this DIY beside the fridge pantry storage solution on Modern Builds. The plan is to make my cabinet 72 3/4 inch tall, 21 inches wide, and 12 inches deep. These measurements are totally going to depend on your space and your fridge. If I was going more shallow, I would probably use a 1x6 or 1x8 material, but I can't get 1x12s at Home Depot. And that's why I'm using 3/4 inch radiata pine for my cabinet box. I'll start by ripping this plywood down into 12-inch wide strips. I used my circular saw along with a straight edge to make sure I got clean cuts. If your cabinet is more shallow or deeper than this, you'll adjust for that here. The two long vertical pieces for my cabinet are going to be 72 inches long, and I'm using my 12-inch speed square to make sure these cuts are 90 degrees. The top piece for this cabinet sits on top of our verticals, and the bottom sits inside of the two verticals, so it's going to be about 1.5 inches smaller to account for that. But before I assemble that box, I'm going to make some edge banding out of this Select Pine 1x4 that I'll use to cover up the visible plies of the plywood. For now, I'm just going to attach a piece onto the end of my top so that I make sure this cabinet assembly is all square and flush. After giving it time to dry, I removed my clamps and then used my flush trim saw to trim the ends of my edging, and then I sanded the top and bottom flush with the faces of the plywood. Now we're going to move back to our top piece, and I'm using this pocket hole drill bit to pre-drill recessed holes where I'm going to be screwing and gluing the cabinet together. A pocket hole drill bit is 3/8 inch, and so I'll come back with a 3/8 inch dowel later. Our bottom panel, on the other hand, is going to attach with hidden pocket screws on the bottom of this piece. I'm using the new Craig Rebel pocket hole joiner, but you could use a basic pocket hole jig for this. And it was at this point in the project I remembered I needed to make a middle shelf for this cabinet that also attaches with pocket hole screws. And this piece is the exact same width as our bottom panel. I'm using 90-degree clamps to help this assembly process go smooth. And notice we've got the show face inside of the cabinet against the wall and facing out on the vertical away from the wall. I put a healthy bead of glue on each of these butt joints so that I had sturdy connections, and all the right angle clamps that I used throughout this process worked great as an extra set of hands. And I'll be honest, I've got no idea how this piece ended up being a little bit taller than the sides. We'll address that in a little bit. But for now, we're going to keep this assembly process going, and on the top, you can see how these screws attach through the top and into the sides, and once we backfill them with a dowel, it'll look like dowel joinery. And the top of our center shelf is going to sit at 36 inches. That's the same height as the countertops in my kitchen, so that's what I wanted to match. And FYI, I'm using 1.25 inch pocket hole screws for this 3/4 inch material. And now it's time for a little bit of quality control. I need to get this front edge of the bottom panel flush with the rest of the cabinet, and I used my circular saw on a step stool to do that. After I sanded this back, everything ended up looking pretty nice. Now we can move on to attaching our back panel, and to do that, I'm using this rabbiting bit on my trim router. This bit has a ball bearing on the end of it that references the inside of the cabinet and creates a 3/8 inch wide groove. That's halfway through my plywood. And I'm using 1/4 inch plywood for the back panel, so that's how deep I set the bit to cut. This will allow the panel to inset into the cabinet. I just needed to clean up the rounded corners that the bit leaves. I used a sharp chisel. And everything's starting to come together. Now let's cut the panel. Like I mentioned earlier, this is 1/4 inch plywood, and the cool thing right now is Home Depot has their AC sanded plywood with radiata pine as their A face veneer, which is awesome. I was planning on having to paint this, but now the wood grain is gonna match the rest of the cabinet, instead of being a different type of wood that doesn't match. I used a couple of bar clamps to tighten and square up my cabinets before shooting in some 1.25 inch 18 gauge brad nails. There was a little bit of warpage to my plywood, but I was able to get that out in this process. You can tell this cabinet wasn't exactly 90 degrees to begin with, but let's check. Oh, that's perfectly square now. Booyah! Let's go! To make this plywood box look like it's solid wood, I'm using edge banding on all of the visible edges. These edge banding clamps from Craig or even Rockler work great if you've got a small project, but if you're doing a lot of edge banding, I would recommend using painter's tape to secure it around your cabinet. The only tricky part here was making sure that the edge banding between my verticals was the perfect length so that this looked like a really clean joint. I made sure that the edge banding on the verticals was flush with the inside face on these joints, so that the edge banding seam lined up in the corner where it should be. After that, I used my flush trim saw like I did earlier to trim the corners square and then sanded everything smooth. I also went ahead and added wood glue and dowels to the recessed screws on the top of my cabinet. After the glue dried, I trimmed these flush and sanded them smooth, a lot like the edge banding, and now you can see how this looks like dowel joinery. Pretty cool. And now this looks super pro for anybody over 6'3". So this looks really good. I'm excited about how nice the edge banding ended up coming out. I usually leave the plies visible, but I think this is effort well worth it. And my next step is breaking down some more plywood to make a couple of shelves that'll go inside of this case. These shelf pieces are 19.5 inches long, the same as the bottom and middle panels, and I'm ripping the shelf that goes inside of the cabinet with the doors 3/4 of an inch more narrow so that those doors can sit inset. The top shelves don't need that. I want my shelves to be adjustable up and down depending on what I want to store where. And to do that, I'm using this Craig shelf pin jig to make equally spaced holes that 1/4 inch shelf pins can go into that the shelves will rest on. I didn't want to drill holes along the entire sides of the cabinet. For a cleaner look, I just drilled holes where I thought shelves might go. I started 8 inches from the top and the bottom of my cabinet openings. Very clean. And this shelf will sit back. That way the doors, which are inset, have room to close. I made 3 shelves total and I'm not exactly sure where they're gonna go, but here's an idea of what this could look like. This is looking great so far and we are moving right along. And our next step is building some custom doors for the bottom half of this cabinet. To find the width for my 2 doors, I measured the width of my cabinet opening and I subtracted 3/8 of an inch for my 3 reveals. And then I subtracted 1/4 of an inch off of the cabinet opening height for the length of the doors. I'm using concealed hinges to attach these doors, so I'm using this jig that's basically a drill bit with a stop on it to make sure that it stops at the correct depth without drilling through the face of your plywood. There are way more complicated jigs for this that are a lot more expensive, but this is a great deal and I use it all the time with no problems. The hinge is centered 5 inches from the top and bottom on each door, but on the cabinet box, I centered the hardware 5 1/8 inch from the top and the bottom because of the reveal at the top and the bottom of the door. If I did everything right, everything should snap in and look pretty clean, at least with a little adjusting. All of my reveals look perfect, but I do need some handles because these are hard to open. I used a 1 1/8 inch Forstner bit to make these finger holes, and I clamped the door to a scrap piece of plywood to limit the amount of tear out that was on the show face. It worked pretty well. And now check out how clean these doors look. I'm gonna condense the next couple steps down, which is sanding the whole cabinet and then finishing it with a couple of coats of water-based polyurethane. And that should really make the grain pop. Finish is cured enough, and it looks awesome. Let's get it in the house. But first, I want to give a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. Your one-stop shop to build your own website or online store, and that has never been easier with Squarespace's design intelligence and Blueprint AI, Squarespace's next generation AI-enhanced website builder. All you've got to do is tell Squarespace about your brand and the website you want to create, and then you get a custom tailored website that you can edit infinitely from there. And with features like Squarespace's SEO integration, you can get found more often on search engines. They do all the complicated backend work to make sure you show up more often on search results, leading to more clients. And with Squarespace Invoices, you can get paid faster and impress your clients with on-brand invoices and streamline your workflow from proposals to contracts, invoices, and seamless online payments all in one place. And finally, with Squarespace email campaigns, you've got all the tools you need to engage your clients, promote your services, and build your business built in. So to learn more, make sure and follow my link down in the description. That is squarespace.com/modernbuilds. And then when it's time to make your new site live, don't forget to use my code modernbuilds for 10% off your first site, store, or domain through Squarespace. As always, big thanks to Squarespace and you all for watching. Now let's finish this build. Let's hope this fits. Fingers crossed. It is perfect. That's awesome. My next step is securing this into the wall with a couple of screws so that this stays square and can't fall over. And then I can place my shelves, which is still pretty subject to change, and install my doors. And we are done. I was super excited to load this up with some of the kitchen essentials that I knew I would be keeping here. On the top shelf, I thought it would be a great place to store some wine or some liquor bottles, but on the bottom, this is like my miniature little root cellar for potatoes, onions, and things like that. And the clean, edge-banded look with no visible plies is nice. And I've still got my third shelf. I'm thinking of cutting it down a little bit so that it can fit down here in the root cellar. I can see a pantry or a cabinet like this in all shapes and sizes. If you build one, I'd love to see it. Show me on Instagram @modernbuilds. Make sure and like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.